Well, hello, everyone, and welcome once again. This is Tim Brahim from Performance Experts Coaching and Leadership 360 with another brief interview with one of our new clients. Let me tell you a little bit about Greg Kingsbury. I guess I met Greg via phone almost a year ago now, and we talked for quite some time in the spring months of 2016 leading up to his decision to ultimately accept our invitation to be one of 9 people in this year's Leadership 360 group. And Greg works for Caliber Mortgage in the Washington, D.C. area. He is a superstar producer. Check out these numbers. He's going to fund about 350 units this year in 2016, and he's on pace for $165 million in production. So he's doing a lot of things right. And Greg, thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to just chat with me for a few minutes.
Yeah, Tim, thanks for having me.
So, as some of you know, we work on a business and life plan in Costa Rica for the entire week that we're there, and that is the onset or the initiation, if you will, into the L360 program. So we start on retreat, create a 3-year business and life plan, and then when these 9 people leave, we require them, Scott and Julie and I as their coaches, require them to select 3 what we call MIGs, which is an acronym for Massive Impact Goal. And over the course of the next 4 months that we're immersed in right now, we're going to be really supporting Greg and his 8 other colleagues on the successful implementation of those MIGs. And Greg, maybe you can share with us one MIG in particular that you're working on that pops to mind to give everybody a kind of a feel for what you're focusing on right now.
Sure. So I came away from the program with honestly probably 20 goals, but the one that I'm most excited about is getting my team. Part of what we learned so much with this experience is it's so much about the experience itself and what you want the customer to experience and how you can improve upon that. The perfect loan process is a process that Tim has very detailed, laid out, that really takes the entire team to buy into. So my first MIG is to get my team on board with what the perfect loan process is, and then through the help of Tim's team, we're gonna train them to get up to speed with why it's important to implement the customer service piece to what we do, because it's really what separates us and sets us apart from our competition. So that first goal over the first 3 or 4 months that we've got here is to get my team on board with doing that, and I don't think it's going to be very difficult because it all makes sense. The more difficult it's going to be the actual implementation because it is very detailed, but I think there's a ton of support that Tim and his team are providing, and I'm super excited to put it together and see how it actually takes our customer service to the next level, and with the end game of the better customer service is going to increase referrals and increase happiness with the clients, which is going to be communicated back to the agents, and slowly but surely start to kick out any competition that I have.
Yeah, that you've really highlighted something very important, Greg, that the implementation of the perfect loan process is a process and not an event. I mean, it takes some time to fully integrate a new way of doing business that creates a radical experience for your clients and your referral partners. However, with that said, the payoff is immense. I mean, in my experience and personally having done it, and then the experience of numerous clients of ours who have successfully implemented it, it's a game changer that really does insulate you from the competition. It becomes kind of your secret weapon. And for those of you who have even had any concerns about the rocket mortgages and the way that mortgages are starting to become somewhat commoditized and streamlined, the one thing that they'll never be able to do with that platform that if you implement and dominate will be your separating factor is they will never be able to provide the belly-to-belly experience of truly proactive, exceptional customer service. And when you have a system for doing it that creates greater efficiency as well, to where you can facilitate more loans at a higher level of service with less time, that's kind of the name of the game. So All right, so thanks for sharing the MIG that you selected. Now, there are things that you learned in Costa Rica that I would have to assume resulted in you selecting this MIG, and maybe you could share one or two things that were revelatory for you in having been with us for 8 days that you learned and took away.
So kind of hand in hand with the perfect loan process is having the right people in place. And I can have to say for the past 10 years, I have not taken a vacation where an hour of daylight didn't go by where I didn't check my phone, respond to an email, listen to a voicemail, call somebody back, deal with the problem. It just, vacations were basically working in a different location, in line at Disney World with the kids, checking email. So not really a vacation, but a lot of that was based off of I just never thought anybody could do the things that I did, and was a huge skeptic that I was going to be away from my business for 9 to 10 days on this trip, and not, Tim was very clear when you're on this trip, you're in it, and to prepare your teams for that. Even with that said, I still expected to come home to fire drills and lots of problems, but I went with it and I let it go. Got home that Saturday night, and on Sunday, my wife's looking at me like, "Are you going to get on your computer and work?" And I just kind of decided, I hadn't seen my family in 9 days. I wanted to spend the day and hang out with them. And how much problem solving could I do on a Sunday afternoon that I couldn't just do Monday morning? I figured Monday morning was gonna suck no matter what I did. So I made that decision, and when I got there Monday morning, there weren't any fires to put out. Everybody actually did a phenomenal job. They were probably a little stressed at times, but they came through it, and I think it was a little bit empowering for them to not have me to go to, and they actually made it through alive. And talking to agents and clients and following up, everybody said they did a fantastic job and nothing got dropped, and life was as it was before I left. And I sat there Monday morning, and I kind of had to stop and think, like, okay, well, what do I do now? And sure enough, I found things, but how I thought my day was going to be when I got back was not that way at all. And even when I got home that night, my wife asked me, how bad was today? And I said, honestly, it was pretty good. And she looked at me in total disbelief, because she could ask me that on any other random day, and I'm just like, oh man, you wouldn't believe today. So for anybody listening that thinks that their world's going to blow up if they walk away from it, take it from somebody that's never done it and did it, and better off times 10 for doing so.
Man, I have a big smile on my face right now because I'm happy for you, and I also know that experience because I had it 20 some odd years ago myself, the first time I went off the grid for 17 days when I went down to South America. And there's a few things that you shared that I want to comment on that I think are really important for everybody listening. Number one, first of all, just completely get it out of your head if you've got this voice of objection going, yeah, but he doesn't have my team. This is universally across the board the experience that all of our clients have, that actually getting away from them and letting them figure it out for themselves. And I like to use the analogy of like having a teenager as your child. I mean, there's only so much parenting that you can do, and then at some point in time, if you really want that teenager to grow and be a man or a woman, you've got to let them learn how to become resourceful. And that's one of the beauties of this process of just disconnecting. All of our fears, the ones that Greg was carrying going down to Costa Rica, are rooted in us believing that all these bad things are going to happen. But the reality of it is that that's how they really ultimately learn and grow. And what I would offer, Greg, is that your team is far more valuable to you now than they were before you went to Costa Rica, because now you can start to have some experiences with your family and your little girls where you can go on vacations or go to that island that you told me about when we were down there and take a day and unplug and know they can handle it. And our referral partners have trust in them too because they've experienced their versatility and their knowledge and their expertise before. So freedom is most definitely a byproduct of it. The other thing that I want to highlight, though, that you said that is really important was that day when you came back and you're kind of like, well, what do I do? You know, that can oftentimes be the experience I find for loan originators is that they stay fully engaged in the process of putting out fires, solving problems, quasi-processing their loans, staying connected deeply with their referral partners throughout the transaction, subconsciously in part because if they didn't do that, they wouldn't even know who they are anymore, if that makes any sense. Almost this feeling of, well, then what's my job? Like, where's my value in the equation? It's almost this somewhat masochistic experience. It's like you don't want to be that engaged and you want to be free, but at the same time, you wouldn't even know what to do if you were, which I'm curious, did any of that go through your head? I mean, I have no idea because I haven't talked to you about this, but did you at any point feel like, well, wait a minute, what's my value now?
Well, I mean, to a degree it does, and it's probably still there in my head that I'm going to wonder. But I know where the value to my team is and the value to myself is in the upfront stage, and if I can let go some of this noise in the background that I find myself involved with all too often, then my value just increases exponentially because I have more time to be more impactful with people up front that are nervous and don't know what they're doing and they're first-time home buyers and kind of helping coach some agents through situations that are difficult. I've got more time to do that than I ever used to if I learn to let go. And I think that's all part of this process. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm happy for your family too, because they're going to get to see a lot more of you, and more importantly, when they see you, my experience, my prediction is it's going to be that you're going to be a little bit more settled. Your mind's not going to be so active and worried about things like you were describing, being on the phone at Disneyland while you're on vacation, and you're really not on vacation because you're connected. So, great job, and I'm happy for you, and thanks for sharing that. One final question before we conclude is you've been through the process. I mean, last year it took maybe 3 or 4 months for you to come to the conclusion that you wanted to move forward with doing this, and you had some of the common reservations, everything from not knowing that you could leave your business to not knowing if you could leave your family, which is another common objection, like, what's my spouse going to think if I go away for 8 days? And then other people even have expressed that, they're concerned about the cost associated with it. And I realize that you're just in the early stages of being in the L360 program. You've got 12 months ahead of you with private coaching and 2 retreats here in LA and all of that. But you've had enough of a glimpse now to where I'd be curious as to what your impressions are so far. What would you say to somebody who's interested in potentially being a part of L360 based upon the experience you had?
Well, I will say, based upon the experience, just the week itself, that if cost is in your head at all, I think you will get more than your money's worth just in the first week of this program. So, I mean, I already think that I'm ahead, and I've still got another year of coaching and 2 further retreats to go to. So the investment in yourself is so much, so far exceeds the actual dollar figure of doing this event that it's if you can get over that piece, that I can't think of anybody that would walk away from that week and say, man, that just. It was good, but it wasn't worth what I'm spending on it. I just can't imagine that being the case.
I laughed only. Thank you for saying that, by the way. And I laughed only because I haven't had anybody say that. Thank God. Everybody's been, universally across the board in the last 5 years have said.
But I won't. I can't deny that I didn't originally look at the number and say, "Wow, that is a big number for this." Am I going to follow through with? Yeah, a little bit of it. I was worried that okay, I set up this business plan. Am I gonna follow through with it on myself? And because I know I'll fall back into my old habits. But the unique thing that you guys have us set up in accountability teams and things like this, it's not so much following through for yourself anymore. You don't want to let the guys on your team down either. And I think that's, for me personally, that's something that plays a little bit more into my competitive nature. And instead of, if I just set a goal for myself and I don't follow through with it, who did I let down? I let down myself. But the way you guys make us a group and a team within the 9 guys that go, it's just I'm very much looking forward to the way we're going to push each other to make sure that all of us come out ahead of where we started.
I think that you of all people seem to be most amused, would be probably the right word, by how we seem to be one step ahead of you guys all the time. And those 8 days that we were there, you'd made a couple of funny comments about how well we had things planned out. And with that said, and based upon what you just shared about the accountability part, don't think for a second that we're not one step ahead of you on that part too, pal. So more to come.
I'm sure.
As the year unfolds, we'll make sure that you get everything out of this that you intend to get. So thanks, Greg, so much, man, for taking the time. I know how busy you are, and it was really great to hear from you. Hopefully everybody that was listening got some good nuggets there from Greg Kingsbury, and we'll wish you guys a great remainder of your December and a happy holidays. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Tim.